Cyprus is stepping up with a new plan to deliver humanitarian aid directly to Gaza by sea. Now, according to the Associated Press, Cyprus has proposed a maritime humanitarian corridor that would allow ships to carry food, medicine, and supplies directly to the Gaza coast. They plan to have United Nations staff waiting there, where they would receive and distribute the aid on the ground. The Cypriot government claims that the plan has the support from many Middle Eastern and European countries. They claim that they're ready to move the first ships once inspection and final safety procedures are agreed. So on paper, it sounds like a lifeline. But the big question is, will it actually reach the people of Gaza? Because aid has been piling up for weeks at the border crossings. And guess who's still controlling the access points? Israel. So even if the aid arrives by sea, it's still unclear who will guarantee safe passage or ensure that it's not delayed or intercepted. So for Palestinians, this plan is a symbol of both hope and frustration. There's hope that someone is finally taking initiative, but there is of course frustration that it's taken this long, because so many lives have already been lost and people are still suffering. Cyprus is calling this route a humanitarian corridor, but many people are asking, is this actually a real pipeline of survival for Gaza's people? I'm going to pull up an article from the Associated Press. We're going to have a read over it and get into it a little bit deeper. So the article says, Cyprus proposes to establish a sea corridor to deliver a stream of vital humanitarian aid to Gaza. Cyprus is working out with partners in the European Union and the Middle East of the logistics to establish a sea corridor to deliver a stream of vital humanitarian aid to Gaza from the island's main port of Limassol once the situation on the ground permits it, authorities said on Tuesday. A senior government official who preferred to remain anonymous because he's not authorised to publicly discuss details of the proposal said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wasn't opposed to the idea pitched by Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulides last week. Sorry if I said that wrong. Gaza's humanitarian needs may have escalated after the Israel-Hamas war erupted following the Palestinian militant group's surprise October 7th attacks in Israel, which left nearly 1,400 Israelis dead and at least 240 taken hostage. Let's remember, guys, that Israel actually has a program called the Hannibal Directive, where it was proven that many of the Israelis that were killed on October 7th was actually killed by their own military. But that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, they said at least 240 were taken hostage, and Israel retaliated with a military operation that has so far left over 8,000 Palestinian dead. Only 8,000? Who's writing this article, man? Melanos Hadjoskis. Let's look at him. 8,000. Is that some sort of joke? Like, honestly, 8,000. I think I probably posted more than 8,000 videos on my own Twitter page of children dying, so that's a very off number. We're talking in the hundreds of thousands at least. But let me get it back into it. Sorry. So the underlying premise of Cyprus's proposal is to have a constant flow of large quantities of assistance delivered by sea during what the officials called humanitarian pauses in the fighting to enable aid to reach those in need. We want to be ready to start sending aid once a window of opportunity opens, he said. The official said the proposal has the support of many fellow EU member states, including Ireland, Spain, France and the Netherlands, as well as Arab nations such as Egypt, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman and Jordan. The US government and the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank have also been apprised of the proposal. Christodoulides is scheduled to speak to Netanyahu by phone later Tuesday. He said that everyone recognises the need for this corridor and that it is feasible. He added that the need for even larger quantities of aid such as medical supplies, food and clothing will be more pressing as the Israeli offensive against Hamas in Gaza has been stepped up. So according to the official, Israel's paramount concern is to ensure the aid doesn't contain anything that Hamas could weaponise. Israel also wants to make sure the content of containers is vetted before leaving Limassol. Cyprus is also in contact with the Palestinian authorities to determine which aid is needed the most. The officials said they are ironing out logistical details, including the key question of where the ships will dock to offload aid and which international agencies in Gaza will be tasked with distributing it. Another issue is whether the supplies will be shipped by commercial or naval vessels. The Mediterranean country is open to all suggestions on how to handle aid delivery efficiently, whether offloading the supplies either directly in Gaza or for them to be sent to either Israel or Egypt and then to the enclave. The official said Cyprus is offering the geographical location, the infrastructure and the political will for this proposal to proceed. I mean, what do you guys think? To me, this just, it might be a good, will gesture from Cyprus, But let's look back at the amount of times that aid has, been attempted to enter into Gaza. How many times has it actually reached the Palestinian civilians? Not a lot. There's been constant aid being sent from, the United Arab Emirates. We've had even some from Britain, some from Russia. All these other countries have sent aid, but how much of the aid is actually reaching the civilians in Palestine? Not a lot. And you might think, yeah, well, the ceasefire's in now, so surely they should get aid. We're dealing with Israel, guys. We're not dealing with, like an actual country that values human rights and things like that. The chances of this actually reaching the Palestinian people is very low. They're already saying in the article that they need to do inspections and blah, blah, blah. Let's be real. Cyprus isn't going to, smuggle loads of, weapons in the food and give it to Hamas, are they? No, of course not. It's just Israel's excuse of holding all the aid, doing these fake inspections, and by the time they've held it for a few months, all of the food's gone out of date anyway. We saw Palestinians receiving aid that had been out of date for fucking years. So, I don't know, guys. It's a good gesture, I guess, but it's not very hopeful. And I'm sure the Palestinian people feel the same, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same. Hopefully it's not just me that's thinking this. If you've been paying attention to the genocide for the past 2 years, and you've had a look at any of the history of what's happened between Israel and Palestine before October 7th, then you'll know that these Israeli demons, this is how they play. They play dirty, they starve, they deprive people of their basic medical needs. Anything, that you'd think is a war crime, Israel's doing it, and they don't care because the majority of the world will not say nothing to them. Anyone that's actually got any power or any authority that could stop it, they choose not to. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments anyway, and remember to drop a like, comment and subscribe, and share the video. Thank you very much for watching.